The shrieking winds had obliterated the awesome sounds of destruction being caused by Beulah's full force in the pre-dawn darkness of Wednesday, September 20th. With the subsiding of winds and the final arrival of daylight, an appraisal revealed chaos and ruination on a vast scale. Outside the Weather Bureau, just one car escaped damages from heavy timbers and falling roofing. Across from the Bureau, a preview of litter and debris to be encountered in all directions. A big plane at the ISIS plant had been torn loose from moorings, slicing through a building with its left wing before coming to a halt. Heavy trees were uprooted. Only frameworks of some buildings survived. High voltage lines arced potential danger. Power lines and poles lay in crazy patterns throughout Brownsville. Power would be off for several days, causing nighttime gloom over this normally well-lighted gateway city at Texas southern tip. Substantial buildings had collapsed, this one crashing down on a row of new farm tractors. Tree damage spared no street, and often the trees caused damage themselves. This palm swayed too far and snapped at mid-trunk. A corner of the Brownsville Civic Center's roof was peeled away as 2,000 refugees huddled inside. The inspection canopy at U.S. Customs took a beating. Parts still hung on, but posed no real danger because nobody was going anywhere to be checked on travel. Some tall palms around the Fort Brown Resaca pushed into a South Seas profile, while severe damage came to the Fort Brown Motel, filled to capacity with utility workers sent in advance from upstate Texas to restore phones and power hard hit when a hurricane strikes. Smashed cars ringed the motel, practically all with flat tires, punctured by wind-driven debris studded with nails. No use trying a service station for repairs. They'd closed long ago. More gale winds with sheets of rain plagued Brownsville throughout the day. Elizabeth, Brownsville's main street, looked like this. Police warned us to be on the lookout for flying debris, especially tin and sheet metal, which could cause serious injury. Casual sightseers were barred from the area. The precaution was well taken, as this falling metal shows. Brownsville was to later realize the extent of damages when the bill for removal of debris alone came to almost $1 million. A sampling of damage to downtown business firms revealed most with sign and window damage. The most serious and costly came from ripped-off roofs, allowing torrents of water to pour in on fixtures and merchandise. And shattered glass crunched underfoot, much like the sound made by walking in gravel. Damage was severe, but miraculously no one was killed or seriously injured. The same held true in other parts of the valley where gale force winds continued sweeping in as Beulah was moving north just inside the coastline. Power lines in most of this area were either down or would be. By now, both valley television stations have been off the air for some time. Radio was providing around-the-clock information from local authorities to thousands of people anxious to hear authentic information rather than rumor. Getting out was entirely too risky for most folks. In fact, one of the major problems encountered once a storm's apparent danger is past is the still likely chance of danger from falling objects. Store owners checking on damages didn't have to bother with their doors or, did I bring the key? There were open display windows which did just as well. There's been no count of the number of trees damaged and destroyed by the hurricane. Several thousand would be a conservative estimate. Many had graced lawns for many years. The wind damage to citrus was severe, with much fruit blown from the trees by hurricane-force winds. A surprising amount survived this phase of Beulah. Mass aid poured into the area from throughout the country. Normal home life impossible, whole families lived in refugee centers for several days. And some early accounts had said South Padre Island and Port Isabel were 90% destroyed. A close look when the area could be reached revealed that very costly and extensive damage had occurred, but it was not totally destroyed. The Port Isabel High School gym was demolished, classrooms were smashed, furniture and fixtures ripped apart, with rubble filling the school with a scene of desolation. System-wide, the school district had 17 buildings damaged or destroyed, and in early November, the district okayed acceptance of over $250,000 in settlement of an insurance claim. Port Isabel, being right on the coast, had caught most of the hurricane's full force. 500 National Guardsmen were called up for emergency duty in the valley. 1,500 more were on standby if needed. The Guard and Disaster Services had units in Port Isabel by the time residents could return. All utilities were out in Port Isabel, no lights, phones, for a while water, and this film tour was made before any attempt had been made at restoration of facilities. for cleaning up the mess at hand came first. Homes and businesses in Port Isabel followed the same pattern of destruction which prevailed elsewhere. One structure would be in ruins, another one nearby, perhaps had gotten by, with just serious damage. An effective roadblock at the toll bridge entrance, a big truck neatly overturned. And then over the long causeway linking Port Isabel with South Padre Island. The causeway took the hurricane's pounding with little apparent damage. But the Isla Blanca trailer park resembled a scene of wartime bombing destruction. Mobile homes were so shredded, the wreckage of one blended into that of another. One owner later said, "How can I clean up my debris? I don't even know which it is." 116 mobile homes had been in the park. The Cameron County engineer along to give an evaluation of structural damage. The first accurate account of South Padre losses came. Some buildings had repairable damages, others were total losses. Further travel up South Padre was ruled out by a 10-foot wide chasm, 8 feet deep, washed out of the pavement. Several other cuts occurred at other points on the road. For a better perspective, cameras went airborne for a bird's eye view of South Padre Island. Here you'll be able to judge for yourself the effects of Hurricane Beulah, which left only 5 out of 40 beachfront homes with relatively minor damage, according to the report made by the county engineer. Then an aerial survey of damages to Port Isabel. National Guardsmen brought emergency power plants, laid out their plans, and helped Port Isabel recuperate. Guardsmen were on duty in full force at Brownsville, largest city in the valley. Nightfall revealed a roadblock stopping all non-essential travel into Brownsville. Without power, the city was in almost total blackness, leaving valuable items exposed. Guardsmen sealed off the downtown business section to prevent looting. One man was shot to death on Washington Street. His body was taken to Mercy Hospital for an autopsy. A lid of secrecy shrouded the event thereafter. Whether shot by guardsmen or police has never been made a matter of public record.